Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Kander, and welcome to a very special episode. I may very well be speaking about one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Spider-Man No Way Home, which hopefully by the time this releases, it came out about a month ago. I just wanted to give everyone the opportunity to see the movie before I talked about it, so spoiler alert for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you've somehow avoided spoilers and you're still waiting to see this, turn off the video now and go watch the movie. It came out a month ago. This was arguably my most anticipated movie of 2021, especially since The Batman was delayed yet again to 2022. Hopefully I'll get to talk about that soon, but this is of course about No Way Home, so let's get talking about that. Spider-Man is my favorite fictional character of all time, a comfort character, if you will, but it's true. There are several notable moments in my life where I can point to and say I was upset, or sad, or depressed, but comforted myself with the iteration of this character. Peter Parker and Spider-Man are characters that are sort of like an infinite puzzle piece, able to fit in wherever it needs to support the individual reading, or watching, or playing as the character. Peter Parker's responsibilities are your responsibilities. His failures in love may reflect your own, so that's why this movie was so special to me, and it did not disappoint at all. I've been a fan of MCU Spider-Man as well, and I've been following his inclusion in the MCU since the beginning, so naturally, I was super excited to see the conclusion of this trilogy. Did I know if there was more? I don't know, but I couldn't rule out the possibility that this may be it, especially with Sony's rocky relationship with Disney and Disney's rocky relationship with Sony. However, it's not over. It's already been announced that there will be yet another Spider-Man trilogy, and I am absolutely stoked considering that Tom's Peter is closer to his comic counterpart than ever, which just kind of goes to show that everything up until this point was truly Peter's origin story. But that's once again me getting a little off track. I claim that this movie was perfect. Well, at least it was perfect to me. It was everything I ever wanted. Yes, one could claim that using legacy characters could be a bad thing. After all, they add a huge emotional weight to a film only riding on the legacy of, well, older characters. But it was done so well. The movie starts with the inclusion of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, which if you haven't seen Daredevil on Netflix, you need to. It may not be canon anymore, but I think it still stands as one of the best MCU shows of all time. Of course, this came after the return of Vincent D'Onofrio's return as the Kingpin, truly a great time for Daredevil and Spider-Man fans alike. This led to me being overwhelmingly excited. It was just so good to see him back, and it was done in such a tasteful way. Just enough to let us know that Matt will hopefully be coming back to the MCU full time. Honestly, there is no one else I can see in his role. Same for Kingpin. To me, they just play it so well. In comparison to other inclusions, I may have been a little too excited for Charlie Cox, but other inclusions as well. Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus is once again amazing. Almost 20 years later, it still felt like him. He still had so much down pat that it was unbelievable. His redemption was amazing as well. In my opinion, Otto Octavius does so well as a tragic villain. This is proven with the success of Insomniac Games' Spider-Man as well as Maguire's movies. I cared that Otto was getting back his mind. Did I only care because he's from another movie? Maybe that cancels out the amazing work done here, but I don't think it does. I think it just means that in order to fully appreciate the character, you need to watch the other Spider-Man movies, or at least have a knowledge of them. Was this the correct thing to do? I have no idea. It worked for me and was magical to see Molina back in the role. Some of the other returns we see include Tom Hayden Church's Flint Marko, and although he wasn't able to return physically for shooting, it was at the very least nice to hear his voice again. We also get the voice of Kurt Connor's Bryce Ifans Lizard. Now, these two characters are truly minor inclusions, to be honest, but it was still nice to see their return anyway. The Lizard actually serves as a bit of comedic relief in this movie, as I love to see his plan of turning the whole world into lizards get poked at. Jamie Foxx also returns as Electro, and I'm glad they gave him a glow up and really let him shine. I don't have many notes for his performance other than it was truly much better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They did him very dirty in that movie, though it's not surprising in the slightest. Jamie Foxx does so well when you actually let him shine. Also, a great idea having him play around with an arc reactor. Great idea in principle to see him so powerful at that stage. Willem Dafoe also does an amazing job in this movie, arguably more so than Molina, but that's only because Dafoe's job calls for more. I mean, he's the main antagonist, arguably. Dafoe gives such an amazing performance. His dichotomy between the scared Norman Osborn, who tragically lost his mind, and the absolutely insane Green Goblin. It was amazing to see his father-son relationship between Peter. This is something that I would normally consider tragic, as it usually leads to Harry Osborn falling behind and feeling replaced in his father's eyes. However, Harry is not in this movie, which is actually pretty odd to be honest, but I'm kind of glad he's not if it means we get this scene. Tom shares such great chemistry with Norman making the cures. It's just made me very happy, made me tear up in fact, but that chemistry is nothing in comparison with Tom's chemistry with the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin in this movie is absolutely perfect. In my opinion, Goblin should be the villain that can hurt Peter in unimaginable ways, and that is absolutely the case in this movie, as we see with the tragic death of Aunt May, which hurt a lot, like a lot. The final fight scene between Tom's Peter and Green Goblin is just perfection. It's a perfect depiction of what Peter should be when he absolutely loses his cool, relentless pounding into the laughing face of Green Goblin. It's just so unsettling, but perfect.
Peter, you're struggling to have everything you want.
I just realized I'm gonna have a great time trying to find any of this footage for the movie. Yay me, hopefully there's some more scenes available in the future. That's about it for important characters that were reintroduced. Just kidding, we of course get the full unbridled return of Tobey's Peter Parker as well as Andrew's. This scene of introduction did in fact make me cry, 100% I can admit that. Tobey walked out of that portal and I started to tear up. Felt crazy because it was just so amazing. Their inclusion was done so perfectly. Tobey's Peter feels just as wistful and calm and wise as he did in his movies, and Maguire does such an amazing job with it. Andrew remains as the spunky Peter, but not over the top or annoying or anything like that. He just feels like a Peter in the wake of tragedy, and it's honestly such an amazing performance from an amazing actor. But that's everything that rides on the returning characters, which, as I said, is a huge part of this movie. But there's still more stuff that's just pure MCU. We also see the return of Doctor Strange, who quite frankly makes this movie a competitor of Endgame in terms of characters in one movie. Benedict Cumberbatch does good as always, and his fight scene is incredibly amazing and a wonder of visual effects. It shows a really good representation of Strange versus Spider-Man, and it goes just as you would expect. Well, for Doctor Strange holding back, his power scaling in the MCU is kind of weird. There's a few more things I want to talk about for this video. There are several scenes that are just completely, well, perfect in my opinion. For one, after the death of Aunt May, we see Peter at his worst. He stands in the rain, pouring as it drips down his blood-coated skin. He stares into a massive screen, his eyes stained red with tears. He watches as J. Jonah Jameson tears into him, spreading lies about how terrible he is. He then twists the knife in further, stating that Aunt May's tragic death is his own fault. JJJ in this movie is truly the most evil depiction I've ever seen, and honestly, I'm here for it. J.K. Simmons gives an amazing performance as always. This scene is also beautifully lit. The pinks and blues bathe Peter in a magnificent light. The lights, the rain, and utmost emotional damage leads to me believing that this will go down as one of the most iconic MCU scenes. Look, I get that this has been mostly me rambling about various aspects of the movie, and I get that it hasn't exactly been a review talking about the nuances or story presented by the film. I mean, what makes a story worth telling should be at the forefront of thought, right? That's just the thing though. This story is worth telling. It's incredibly compelling and ties out the story of MCU Peter Parker with a nice little bow, leaving us with endless possibilities for the character's future. We see Aunt May come to be his moral compass like Uncle Ben. We see Peter lose everything yet still come out on top morally and against evil. We see Peter let go of his first true love, and that to me is just so perfect. It's also perfect to me, and that's the beauty of this character. Stan Lee once spoke about the beauty of Spider-Man's mask. It could be anyone under there, and therefore anyone could relate to it. Anyone could put themselves in those shoes, or rather, those spandex. And to me, this is perfect. This movie gave me everything I could have ever hoped for a Spider-Man story. That's not to say it didn't have its faults or that I don't like any other representation of the character, but I walked into that theater blind. I avoided rumors and trailers like the plague, and I walked out in awe. So thank you to everyone who is behind this movie. And you know, not just this movie, thank you to everyone who's ever been a part of any of these amazing projects that involve this character that I hold so tightly in my heart above the others. Whether it be a movie or a game or show or comic, it means so much to me. Thank you. Well, that about will do it. As I said, this was honestly just a large amount of rambling, and I'm sorry if that wasn't exactly what you came for. I've been wanting to make a video like this for so long, and to be able to talk about a character that I love, I just sort of ran with it. So thanks for putting up with me and hearing me out. I really appreciate it. I would also really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video, letting me know if I should keep doing stuff like this. Also, if you want to keep up with my uploads, feel free to subscribe. If you ever not want to miss an upload, ring that notification bell so I don't get lost in the sea of your subscription page, because I know mine is wild. If you want to go ahead and share this video with a friend, maybe a friend who'd like to see others go on and rant about their favorite characters, if that's their thing, go ahead. Also, share a comment letting me know who your favorite Spider-Man is from any adaptation. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.